So I'm working in Michigan, and I'm selling alcohol. Well, I'm delivering alcohol. I don't sell alcohol. I'm just an alcohol distributor working for a wholesaler that sells wine to grocery stores, cheap wine, end of the AA story, end of the life story kind of wine. This isn't fancy wine for rich people. This is drinking wine for getting drunk. So while I was working for this company that sold wine, I was a driver. I drove, and some days you would have a passenger. Some days that man's name was James. Was an African American gentleman. James was an African American gentleman from Detroit. Not from Detroit. When I came to Detroit, that's how I said it, but now I say Detroit. Because if Detroit did anything, it made me into something that I wasn't before. A fully fledged, fully grown human being, capable of all sorts of things. But that's not how it started. It started delivering wine with James. He became my friend. Quickly, we became friends. I'm a good worker. He's a good talker. I'm a good talker. He's a rapper. I can rap. So we can talk. James was, at the time I was 29. It's 10 years ago. Now I'm 39. So at the time I was 29, so this is 2013. And James quits. The owners were not very cool to James. I don't know how much they like black people. I was the only white person that worked at that place. All the rest of the drivers, they were all black dudes, but I don't think it was anything personal. Whoa, see at the bottom of that one, it pushed down. You could hear those rocks. That was good. Well, we'll see how that survived that. I don't believe it did. No. Damn, I thought I lifted up enough. Well, I guess I did not. So next time I go through, well, we know. Okay, where was that? James, he's a talker, I'm a talker. So anyways, we run routes together. And eventually he quits because he's had enough. So he goes back to Detroit to his house and starts living there. I keep working in Michigan. Around the same time, I'm working for this alcohol company. My girlfriend of 5 years with our two, which is probably 3 years old at the time, 3-year-old daughter, she leaves me. She takes the kid. She doesn't take full custody. She takes all custody. She told the judge, this is after, first she didn't tell the judge this, until she didn't get her way. Once somebody doesn't get the things the way they want it to, sometimes they do rash things, and then you really do something fucked up. So I wasn't able to see my daughter anymore. Not because I went to Detroit and I was a pimp's apprentice. That part hasn't even came yet. It was because I drank. It was originally because I drank and smoked weed, but there's no weed in Detroit. Not for me. I wasn't looking for it. The only person I knew was James, and there wasn't no weed to be smoked with him. He was my coworker. I'm not smoking weed, but I was drinking at the time. That's why I go to Alcoholics Anonymous. So I drank myself right into the city of Detroit. Yeah, I took a few of my prescription pills too. I was prescribed Ritalin for whatever reason. I was prescribed speed. I could convince a doctor to give me just about anything, whatever I need. I didn't mean to rhyme. I have a problem with rhyming. When it rhymes too much, I worry about the timing. How much? What rhymes with rhyming and timing? I don't know. Shining almost, but it does not. I'll get to the point. So my girlfriend breaks up with me, and she says, "Oh, it's okay. You can live in the backyard still till you find your own place." And I said, "You know what? Fuck this shit. Going to see my friend James." I didn't even tell him though. I just left. So what do? It's late night. I show up and I'm like, James, hey, let me stay at your house. And he lets me stay at his house for a night. I sleep on the couch. It's all good. I drink a little bit and I leave and I got to go to work. So I go back and I stay there. Next time I go to Detroit, though, I assume that it'll be cool. So I just head to the city, you know? Not a plan, not a nothing. I go there in the morning. It's like a Saturday morning. I don't work. I'm driving around. I didn't work that day, so I'm just driving around Detroit. I go near the waterfront, and it just looks like abandoned buildings as far as the eye can see. It's just a desolate wasteland of warehouses and factories. It's right on the river. It's hideous. It's gray. It's run down. It's not nice. So I drive around, and I end up back in downtown Detroit. You know, after a few sketchy calls, I'm driving around a 1991 dark blue Cadillac Fleetwood, low miles, beautiful car. The show car for Detroit. Probably made in Detroit. So anyways, I'm driving around. I'd never really drove around the city. I mean, I drove to James's, but I wasn't trying to drive around and look around. But at this time I was, so I did. I saw enough. I knew this place was no good for me because it wasn't even good for the people that were already had been there. Like, what the hell would it do for me to be there too? But James warned me. He said, don't mess around. That wasn't the words. He said, don't F around. Don't fuck around. If you fuck around, you're going to get smoked. Hey, spoiler alert. I didn't get smoked. I spent years in Detroit. 2013 to 2015. Well, the end of 2014. So, I was no stranger to danger. I'm not scared of nothing. I farm the skyrockets out here in Prescott, Washington, like nothing. Because I don't have fear. If something's wrong with my brain, I'm lacking that part. That scared part. I've got the part where I get the adrenaline. I have the part where I get excited. I have the part where I feel something. But I wouldn't call it fear. And if it is fear, then I know what to do with fear. There ain't no fear in here. Points at chest. But there's fear in here. Points at head. The longer I think about a thing, the more I am less likely to do it. I will talk myself out of it. Not this time, though. I didn't talk myself out of it. I'd had enough. You know what I'm saying? I'd had enough. I had enough fucking drinking. I had enough snorting my Ritalin. I wanted some cocaine. I wanted to get fucked up. I wanted to forget. The alcohol was never enough. I always sought cocaine to open my brain. It made me insane. I couldn't maintain thoughts on the brain about all this pain. I know I already said brain twice, but you know what? I cannot feign this pain on my brain. I'm going insane. I cannot maintain because all of the pain. So I did cocaine. How'd I do cocaine? Well, started by going down and buying some of that budget liquor at the liquor store. That Moscato. That end of the story white wine. Because that's what I was drinking on. I just wanted to get drunk. And I wanted to do cocaine, which meant I wanted to die. Not directly, but I wasn't scared of it. I wanted a chance death, let's put it that way. I wanted to live on the razor's edge of life. So I walked down to the liquor store, didn't see shit. That same night I'm skipping a part. I went down to my car after James set me up in this hotel because he could not, I'm skipping way ahead. So James could not put me up for the night this time. He was staying with his girlfriend in his house, the power was out. I helped him with the power bill just earlier that week, so I was surprised it wasn't paid yet. He said it was paid, they just hadn't come by and turned it on yet. So James is one of the few people in Detroit that doesn't cut the lock off his power box and just turn it on after sawing it off. So he's an honest guy. And he tells me, oh, why don't I just go stay in this hotel? He'll show me a good one. And we went downtown. Downtown Detroit ain't no place for a hotel. And it wasn't the fancy one. It was one of the outdoor numbers where you had to go into a doorway to go up the stairs, but that was about it. And I was on the second level on the porch. It was like a wraparound balcony facing the road. So I'm up there fucking drinking. doing Ritalin, all that. And lo and behold, I need something for my car. I don't remember what. James told me before he left, he said, Trevor, don't you leave this apartment. Don't you dare freaking leave. What do? I left. I went to my car. On the way to my car, I didn't have any problems. On the way back from my car, I'm talking about to the parking lot right outside my room. I was walking back and a little black dude and his probably Puerto Rican girlfriend or whatever walked up to me and he said, hey, do you want to get your dick sucked? I said, no. He said, why not? And I said, I'm not into that. I got a girlfriend. I don't need to get my dick sucked. And that was a lie. At the time, I didn't have a girlfriend. Like I said, my girlfriend left me. And she took my kid. I just didn't want to have sex with a girl for $20. Because $20 is the price he quoted me. And I'll tell you right now, for $20, more than just me could afford that. So it's not like it's a high line of entrance or whatever. It's not hard to do. A lot of people come up with $20. Me, later to find out, not everybody in Detroit can come up with $20. Now, I came up with $5 once, and the cops were the ones that gave it to me because I was out of gas right near an intersection, just stopped trying to sell these albums that I'd been given. And had them all displayed on my roof, showing them off, you know what I mean? Here you go, $5, $5. I was so caught up on $5. Because if I only had $5, I could put it in my gas can, or excuse me, I could put it in my car and I could drive away from Detroit. And that'd be a start. But the cops gave me $5, and I walked down to the store, and I got a pack of cigarettes, walked back to my car. Cops drive by. I said, why are you still here? I said, I got cigarettes. They said, well, we gave you money for gas. I said, I forgot. They laughed, or didn't, and left. Later that day, I went down to that same gas station, and it was cold. I didn't have anywhere to go, and I did not leave that car for nothing. Oh, did I? No, maybe with a couple of dollars in gas, I got it to a... No, it was still there. It was next to the road, and my family found it. My family found it when I went there with them later. So anyways, I went down to that same store that I bought those cigarettes at with that $5 from those cops, and I didn't leave. They said, get out of our store. I said, nothing. I act like I didn't hear them. They said, get out of our store, buddy. Nope, I didn't leave. They said, get out of the store. We're going to call the cops. They called the cops. The cops came. Cops said, get out of here or we got to arrest you. I said, you got to do what you got to do. And he arrested me and took me down to the hospital. I only managed to go into that hospital twice. The second time, my family showed up and I was sent off to California, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. But that's how these stories go. So back to getting addressed by a pimp, getting solicited by a pimp to try to buy his woman or rent his woman or whatever. I said no. And then he wouldn't go away, so I took a step towards him, and he said, whoa, 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 I ain't gay. I wasn't trying to kiss him. I didn't get closer to him to kiss him. I got closer to him to scare the fucking shit out of him. I'm a 6'4", nothing but pure insanity. I'm in Detroit. I'm a farmer from Washington State. Dry land, wheat, dirt farmer. Yeah, I sold a few bags of weed, but who hasn't? Who hasn't sold a little bit of drugs, you know what I mean? Like in the circles I ran with, everybody sold drugs to varying levels of success, varying degrees of success. We all sold drugs. Different drugs, different highs, different people. No surprise. Look at these eyes. Different drugs, different highs. Anyways, this isn't even a good story. I could say it way better. I could do it way better, but I said no. And he left. Scared the shit out of him, I'm pretty sure. I like to scare the shit out of a gangster-looking black dude. Because I'm not gangster-looking, but I'll tell you right now, I'm gangster as a motherfucker. I try to white it up. I try to jolly it up. Because I was a happy kid before I went to the 3rd grade. But anyways, here I am, back in my hotel room. No woman, no whores, no nothing, just my secret video recorder. Because in every good undercover cop / journalist, phone is a recording device. So I know my phone's a recording device. I know my phone's recording me. It's even doing it right now. I've got 2 bars right now. Hey, and now North Africa's messaging me, but I'm in the middle of a story. Shout out to Belle. So anyways, I get back up to my room, I start drinking, I start fucking recording my shit or whatever, recording whatever's going on around me, which is a whole lot of nothing. But every time my phone unlocked, every time you fucking picked up my phone and opened it, it started recording. Same with my laptop when I was in Mexico. Open the laptop, it starts recording. You don't know it, but it is. It's just so I can get my phone to people, and I don't know. You never know. And I can have it around. Like I was saying, I'm up in my hotel room, my secret video recorder, and I'm like, fuck this shit. You know what? Where'd that pimp go? I'm ready to fuck now. I'm gonna fuck the shit out of him. But no, I ain't gay either. That's what I told him. Anyways, I was looking for that $20 pussy. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna get some of that $20 pussy. I did not give a fuck. So I go down to the parking lot, and I don't see anybody, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna walk up the street, back to that liquor store, get some condoms. Went up, got some condoms, maybe a bottle of wine, another 1.5 liter. I already finished off the first 1.5 liter, time for another one. Trying to drink a gallon of wine, evidently. And I did, I'm sure I did that night. But what else I did was, on the way back from getting that wine, is I ran into a black gentleman. Goes by the name of Cedric. He is still alive. We are still in contact to this day. He is a convicted murderer. He got out of prison because he's crazy. I didn't go to prison. Anyways, as I was saying, I bumped shoulders with him in the same parking lot, very near to the spot where that pimp said something to me. And I said, hey, how's it going? He said, good, how are you doing? I said, good, what's going on tonight? He's like, oh, partying in my room? And I'm like, right on, what room is that? I'm staying at this hotel too. He said, oh, really? Yeah, he said, I'm in room number XYZ, and I'll be back down there just a little while. I got my girl in there, I got my little bit of coke, I got my little bit of heroin, I got my little bit of everything. Just come on down there, and we can party. And I said, sure as shit, we're gonna do that. So I go to his hotel room. I give it a minute. I take my secret video recorder, put it in my pocket, and I go. I go over there, and he explains to me that this is his girlfriend, Sade. And later find out her name is Melanie. She still lives in Detroit. I do not keep in contact with her now. She asked me for too much money, and there are no book sales. There is no revenue from our story together, so I regret to inform her that I'm no longer giving her money. But I gave her about $250 a month for a year, so I think she's okay. It's whatever. Money comes and money goes. There will always be more money. That I can assure you. Anyways, I go to his room, I meet his girlfriend, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. You're 70, maybe 65, and she's 16, maybe 15. So I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know that at the time. That's fine. She was 16 when the baby was born, and that is not against the law in Michigan, and wasn't then, and probably still isn't now. The age of consent in Michigan is 16 years old. And he was out of prison for double homicide, triple homicide, killing 2 motherfuckers at a church in broad daylight. And he's sitting there, and he's like, what the fuck are you about? I said, oh, I'm a farmer from Washington. He's like, what the hell are you doing here? I said, I want to see the city. He said, what have you seen so far? I said, nothing. I haven't seen shit. My buddy said if I go and fuck around like I'm doing right here, I'm going to die. I'm going to get smoked. I said, what do you think of that? I said, that's some bullshit. You're with me. Ain't nothing bad going to happen to you. And it was true. Not from any other man's hands did anything bad ever happen to me. And said never did a fucking thing to me. Threatening my life and making me scared and all that shit, that's not a crime. Not in my books. I deserved it.